Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. So today we're going to learn on ICE, Accounting Information System. So ICE is about a system that collects, store and process data to produce information for decision makers. As you can see on the whiteboard, I did outline on the definition of ICE itself. So what is ICE for ICE 205? MYOB system, which the system that we cater is on accounting system. So if we are talking about general of accounting information system, you can talk about any system which perform the function of collecting, keeping as a record, okay, and process the whole data, becoming a new information and output later on, which will differentiate the raw data because they go through the process of organizing, coordinating, sorting on anything, whatever process that you might think of for that particular raw data, so that at the end of the day raw data can become an information, which is the data becoming meaningful. Okay, take for example, if those that we use in MYOB, we have an information about our customer. We have a name of a customer. So what we did with that name, we register as a customer in the system. Then we set a credit limit. We set the transaction code for that particular customer. So that would be the information produced from the raw data. So when you check on the customer detail, means that you have the data that being collected, stored in the data maintenance. So the process is sorting. So apa yang dia sort? Customer category. If you have another name for your supplier, then you perform the same process, which is you record the name with the coding as a supplier code in the system. Then at the end of the day, you have an information, which those information later on to be used by the decision makers. Who is the decision makers? So we are talking about two types of decision makers in a company. We have internal decision makers and we have external decision makers. If we are talking about internal in a company, normally we are referring to a manager, because manager will make the decision what kind of operation or action to be taken out from the information provided, such as the customer. If the customer interested to buy some goods from you, which that particular customer is totally a new customer, the manager might think of whether the customer should pay immediately or should be given a credit term, maybe 14 days of credit, because the consideration is based on the information provided. So that's why when we talk about accounting information system, we are talking about accounting nature of information. Okay, but if let's say we are talking about information system, another example can be used, such as your email. In your email, you will have an information about your sender of the email and the subject of the email, the content of the email, how the email been stored. Okay, you have the category of inbox, you have those category of sent item. That's how the process of the data collected being stored in information system in general. But if let's say we use accounting system, we are not talking about email. We are talking about, for example, banking transaction. You record the transaction on receipt of money or spending of money. So the data will be sorted based on the flow of the cash, whether the cash comes in or the cash goes out. And at the end of the day, what kind of information do you have from the banking transaction? The balance of your general check account. And another process can be example is your bank reconciliation process. So what are the information collected? The bank statement information. You collect the bank statement balance information. Then after that, what did you do? You process the data. How you process the data using the MYOB? You update the bank statement balance on the respective date. Then what you do? You make a comparison. Those in your cash book, okay, compare with those in your bank statement. You perform some activities. What did you perform when you preparing your bank reconciliation report? You tick on those which appear on both report, right? Then after that, you make sure the balance being zeroized. After that, you click the reconcile. So the process of the data being conducted by the system. Then at the end of the day, you get the information. What kind of information do you get when you performing your bank reconciliation? Your bank reconciliation report. You did not put, okay, any format, right? But at the end of the day, you have those check which is not yet cleared or not yet presented to the bank being listed under your reconciliation report. So that's how the system works to produce information after the data being collected and stored in the system. Okay, so can you see how the accounting information system works? So the definition actually itself explain how the process flow of the accounting information system being carried out. First, you need to collect the data. Second, the data need to be processed. When the data being processed, you will have the output. So the output will be known as information. Okay? So such information you can see here can be viewed as a printed purchase order. So what kind of data did you collect during the purchase order created? You need to have item. What kind of item that you would like to purchase? So what could be the code, okay, representing the item that you're going to purchase? How much or how many units that you're going to purchase? Because sometimes you need to have the quantity multiply by the unit price, then you get the total for the purchase order. With that purchase order printed, you're going to send to your third party. Who is your third party? Your external decision makers, which is the supplier. With the printed purchase order, the hard copy, the supplier will decide what are the items to be delivered to your company. When should be the item delivered to your company? How many days the credit should be given? That will be the kind of decision will be done by your external users. Okay? So another example would be when you managing your sales, you bill your customer, you invoice your customer. So when you invoice your customer, there's a few information collected, such as who is your customer, for how many days you're going to allow for your customer to have a credit with your company. Okay? Then sometimes, do you give any discount to your customer, right? So with those information, later on, you process the thing and you get the output document. Okay, so the output document later on to be used by both parties, the internal decision makers and the external decision makers. So who is the internal decision makers that going to use the invoice? The credit control officer. Credit control officer will check, will follow up on the payment, whether the payment has been made or not after the due date has come. That's why in the system we can get such report on aging. Do you remember the aging? Okay, the one that we tracking when the invoice should be settled. Okay, so as you can see, accounting information system will help us in simplifying the process. Okay, if you perform the information system by manual process, okay, you may take more hours to extract the information compared to your computerized accounting information system. Okay, this is best example by the report. You just create your purchase order, which later on you converted to bill. Upon converting the purchase order to bill, what did you have after that? The transaction journal, the debit and the credit on the purchase account, right? And the report on the trade creditor, the one that you owe to. And at the same time, you can view the report in your trial balance. Okay? And almost at that time also you can determine what is the expenses of the company, because you can check in your income statement the cost of purchase, because your purchases being updated during your process of converting your purchase order to bill. So the objective of accounting information system, okay, best illustrated when you see the flow of the process completed after the decision makers have made the decision based on the information provided. So what did the system give to us? An easy step of record keeping. Betul tak? You akan ada a record keeping yang lebih proper, lebih teratur, lebih easy to access. Do you imagine a work with which totally manual? To view a purchase order, you need to open one file, right? And if let's say you would like to view another report, okay, you have to go to another file, maybe in different cupboard or cabinet, okay, which might take more time. But if you are using the computerized system, with just one click, you can have all those information. So that would be the objective of having accounting information system. So from your textbook, okay, page 190, you can see a few specific objectives of accounting information system. Okay, the one that we're going to discuss here is accounting information system is to support day-to-day operation. So how the accounting information system will support the day-to-day operation? Can you recall how you process the purchase of your goods for resale? You first need to fill up a purchase requisition, With the purchase requisition, the business people, the procurement side will generate purchase order for you. Then with this purchase order, they will print a document to be sent to the supplier. Then the supplier, upon receive the purchase order, will decide on the delivery of the goods ordered. So when the goods been ordered, what did you do in the system? You receive the item by converting the purchase order to bill. So actually, when you receive the item by converting the purchase order to bill, actually you are generating good receive notes. So with the good receive note, you know an item been delivered to your warehouse. Then you know that now you are entitled or committed to your bill. Kan? Just now you ada purchase order. Masa purchase order perlu bayar tak? Tak. Tapi bila dah convert kepada bill, perlu bayar tak? Perlu. Because you dah terima barang. So how the system help you? So assist your process. Day-to-day operation. Hari ni maybe place order. Besok maybe terima barang. Lusa maybe buat payment. So what you do? In the system, you tracking the process flow. From the purchase order converted to bill, now you pay the bill. So what happened after you pay the bill? You cleared the outstanding amount. Then the system also listed to you the closed bill. So that's how the day-to-day operation being supported by accounting information system. So in other words, it's involved transaction processing that produce information output document or report to internal and external user. So if let's say we are producing a payment, what are the kind of output document? The payment voucher. Okay, together with the printed check. Guys, you need to have a check printed to you. Kalau zaman dulu, maybe you ambil check, you tulis tangan. Betul tak? Nowadays, we have a system, you can default a system to print the information of the recipient of the payment. So, kerjanya lagi senang. Tak susah. Tak ada dah nak salah eja. Sebab apa? Dalam sistem itself, you dah print preview. You dah tengok balik. Kalau kita tulis by tangan, lepas kita dah settle tulis, baru kita tahu kan? Ni kalau kita guna sistem, after you key in the name, you can preview. Then you are agreed after you review. So that's how the system support the day-to-day operation. Example by payment processing. Okay, so another objective. Okay, now we are moving to second objective. Okay, to support decision making. So decision making, normally we are concerned about internal first, because who is the person managing this database or bookkeeping? It's us in the company. So the information available to us will be used by our internal decision makers. Okay, such as if let's say you place an order for goods to be sold, you need to have an information when should be the second order being placed, so that you won't face stock out. Betul tak? So what can be done in the system? You can check on inventory on hand. Berapa banyak inventory ada kat tangan? Is there any outstanding order by your customer? If let's say you have outstanding order by customer 30 units, but in hand you only have 20, should you urgent the placement of the order? Yes. So with the help of the system, you can have on the spot the quantity balance reported every time you create or issue your invoices, because the system will plus minus every time the specific documentation being created in the database of your computerized accounting system. So that's why if you notice, okay, after we completed the managing purchases chapter, We check, do we have the quantity on hand? Without the quantity on hand, how can we sell the item? Okay, then before we move to managing inventory chapter, we check again, do we have the correct balance? Because with the correct balance, only we can make a comparison when we perform physical stock counting. The verification of your inventory is done through your physical stock counting. Then you will use the system again to make a decision whether should you adjust the balance reported or should you not, or should you follow by a further investigation. Why should there any discrepancies in the system as compared to your physical stock in the store or your warehouse? Okay, so you can see that with the accounting information system, specifically MYOB, we have a few access to the transaction processing, which this access will help us to meet the objective of managing our information system. Okay, so supporting decision making by internal decision makers involve information processing that provide output to internal decision makers, mainly managers, for planning and controlling a firm operation. Okay, another example would be you can check on the balance of your cash in hand. Do you remember when you creating your petty cash? You start floating an amount of cash in hand so that you can meet any ad hoc or small payment for your expenses. What happened after those vouchers for petty cash has been utilized? You need to replenish the amount, right? So that's another example of decision making will be done through the information provided by the system. You can go to the system, check the balance of your petty cash. Then after that, you replenish the amount. How you replenish the amount? You issue a check, a transfer from your bank to your petty cash. So that would be another example illustrated by decision making by internal decision makers supported by the accounting information system, specifically computerized system. Okay, and the last one, okay, we are talking about accounting information system help us to fulfill our obligation relating to our stewardship. So what is the function of accounting people? To perform a record keeping. They need to have a bookkeeping, betul tak? Kena ada buku record untuk transaksi, especially melibatkan cash, betul tak? Duit keluar masuk tu kena ada record. So what did you do? A cash book. So how is your cash book being record in your MYOB system? Do you remember? You set an account specifically to cater your general check account, and your general check account will be record based on amount received, amount paid. So that's how you perform your stewardship. So tanggungjawab you apa? You are obliged to report on the flow of money. Duit keluar, duit masuk. So when you record the receipt of money, you record the payment of money, that means you fulfill your obligation. You report on the cash flow. Okay, so it's involved the provision of information that in certain circumstances mandatory to external users, that include stakeholders. So such other information would be your financial statement. Guys, as an accounting people, what you need to produce at the end of the day? Income statement, balance sheet. Kenapa you kena produce income statement and balance sheet? Why? If you work for a company, company are obliged to, betul tak? Publish an account. Betul tak? You belajar kan? Company obliged to publish an account. So if you did not from the beginning perform a bookkeeping to record the flow of your sales, purchases, your expenses, then how can you produce your income statement? So the accounting information system will cater based on this principle, your obligation to provide the report. Okay, so how the system work, only you and the system programmer will know the best. Kalau you tanya arkitek tak tahu macam mana accounting people work. Accounting people will know where to start from. That's why you have accounting cycle. So how you meet accounting cycle in the system? That's how the system been designed. What kind of entry should be picked up first, then later on those entries should affect where. That's why we learned before, after you pick up an entry in your managing purchases, you can view your income statement. You did not view your income statement before you pick up any expenses, right? Because income statement only reflected after you have your expenses and revenue. Okay? So accounting cycle will help you to understand the flow of accounting information system work. Okay? So we done with those three objectives. First is to support day-to-day operation. Second is to support internal decision makers in making a decision. And the third one is to fulfill our obligation towards stewardship. Stewardship tu maksudnya peranan you lah. Apa fungsi you? Kalau you as imam, apa fungsi you? Make sure masjid tu bila sampai waktu solat, okay, you ada untuk solat jemaah. So kalau account, you kena buat apa? When come to month end or financial period, you need to come out with the report. When there is a transaction, you need to pick up. Okay, where to pick up? Where necessary. If you have a bank transaction, you should pick up as cash book. If you have a purchase of item that you're going to sell back, you have to pick up under cost of sales. Okay, are you with me, guys? Okay, good. Okay, so are we going to move to roles of an accountant? Are you okay? Can we move to roles of accountant? Okay. So what is roles of accountant in accounting information system? Apa peranan kita as an accountant? We need for sure to provide what we need from the system. Kita kena maklumkan sistem designer kita nak apa. Just like we in the process of building our own house. Apa yang kita bagi pada kontraktor? The design of the house. Nak banglo ke, nak rumah teres ke, nak rumah flat ke. Betul tak? So same thing. The role of accountant in the system, we need to provide an information. Okay? So that the system will be designed as what you need. So if the system been designed as what you need, then the support day-to-day operation objective will be met. If not, it will be difficult. You nak A, dia bagi B. You nak ABC, dia bagi ais kacang. Tak sama, dek. Betul tak? So that's why as a system user, you need to understand what could be the best user interface. What could be the best process, okay, in your system. So the first part as an accountant, you should be a system user. So peranan pertama, kita mesti boleh guna sistem tadi. Kalau as an accountant, kita tak boleh guna sistem tadi, it would be meaningless lah. Mean sistem tu akan jadi keluar daripada kita punya peranan. Okay, so the role of accountant first adalah as a system user. So here, system user, accountant as a system user. So an accounting information system processes financial transaction. Thus, it impact in some ways the accounting function. As accounting information system end user, accountant access the system to perform accounting function. So the one that I elaborate before, as an account clerk, you may be key in the information. As an accountant, you may be seek a report such as financial statement and income statement, or a bank reconciliation report. You may be not the person who key in the information, but you are the person who generate the report and review for analysis of decision. Okay. Professional that design the accounting information system need active participation of accountant in developing an accounting information system. It is the role of accountant to provide a clear picture of their needs as system user. Why we have to provide a clear picture? Guys, I did mention in accounting we have an accounting cycle which we need to meet. So if we did not brief our system designer on the process flow, then the accounting cycle could be breached. Mungkin ada yang kita meet, mungkin ada yang kita tak meet. So if we did not meet the accounting information cycle, the accounting cycle, what could happen to our information of accounting? It could be biased. Okay, kita nak report for year 2014. It could be by misleading, kita pick up in 2015. So that's why in accounting we have a principle of accrued and prepayment. Betul tak? Accrual will be considered in our current financial period. Prepayment would be taken out. So will be recognized as our current liabilities. So where should we report these current liabilities? In our balance sheet. Because our balance sheet will represent our financial position. If you hold monies which came from prepaid revenue, you should not declare those money as yours. That ones belong to others. So that's why the way you report is, you present you have cash in hand, and you present you have an obligation to third party by debiting your bank and crediting your prepaid revenue, because prepaid revenue is not yours. So that's how the designer of the system work if the information is provided by the accountant. So they need to specify, for example, accounting rules and technique to be used and internal control requirement. So what is internal control requirement that you can see in MYOB? Purchase register. Can you remember purchase register? Under purchase register we have few tab, right? We have order type, followed by open invoices, followed by return and debit, followed by close bill. So how did the control work? Those paid in full invoices or bill will move to close bill. Those outstanding will be listed under order tab. So that's how when the system work as what you give as a clear picture to the designer. The designer will make sure the system database will be created with the element of control required. Okay, so without the information provided by the accountant, the designer won't know, because the designer is an IT people. Dia tak tahu tentang accounting rules. So accounting rule only mastered by accountant. Okay, the second role of accountant in accounting information system as a system designer itself. So apa dia kena buat? Together, bersama-sama dengan designer daripada IT punya disiplin tadi. Dia yang kena tunjuk, okay, user interface kena ada ni. Okay, Okay, mungkin dia juga the one who choose. Okay, icon mana yang nak pilih, access yang macam mana. Okay, example, do you remember the one that we use as user interface for MYOB? We need to have user ID. Then after that, we need to have password. So why did an accountant require a password for the user of accounting information? So that the control element can be carried out in the process of bookkeeping. Not all officer or clerk or accountant can access other people's work. So that if let's say any mistake being carried out, so they can trace who are the person that will take responsible. Okay, another example would be the report listed. Okay, we can see that from the report, they are separated by the command center. Some are under account, some under banking, some under sales and purchases. But on certain area, regardless of whether you would like to view under account, banking, sales or purchases, you can have direct access. What could be the best example for that one? Income statement. Because you can view income statement under all of those categories. Balance sheet, try balance. But if you would like to have a review of report specifically on inventory, can you view under account? No, you need to go by inventory report. So that's how the accountant as a system designer. So both accountant and computer professional are responsible for designing an accounting information system. An accountant that is familiar with accounting function is responsible for the conceptual design of the system or conceptual system. A computer professional that is familiar with computer function is responsible for the physical design of the system or physical system. So we are talking about conceptual system from accountant perspective and physical system from professional IT perspective. Okay? Do you remember how you register the account? You register the code with the digit, not the names, because system can store so many data or information based on digit, not character. If you are talking about text character A, B, C, D, it's a very limited one. Computer can store so many information if you use digit 0 until 9. That's why the combination of account code, if you realize, you create the code without the description, you still can proceed. Because the system can work that way. But for IT or computerized system, it may work for them. For accounting people, you need to have the name. So that's why you create the description or the account name. And you also create the category of the account code created, such as expenses category, current asset category, current liability category, income category, equity category, or if you would like to make some specification, other income or other expenses category. And you outline the report heading in the balance sheet as accountant needs. Okay? What should be appear in your income statement? What should be appear in your balance sheet? That's how the both of system designer work, as a conceptual system designer and as a physical system designer. So the last role of accountant in accounting information system is as a system auditor. So at the end of the day, you need to check, is it the system work as you wish? Betul ke tak? After you key in this information, all the accounting cycle will be met. And the principle in accounting would not be breached. Kita tak nak non-accounting bill affecting our accounting entry. Ingat tak? When you create your purchase order, there won't be any debit or credit impact. But when you start converting your purchase order to bill, you start to have your debit purchases, credit your trade creditors. So as an accountant, you need to be an auditor. Check and balance. Do you have the correct principle being stored in the system? If not, means the system won't assist you in processing the data to produce the right and correct information. So as a system auditor, information system or information technology auditing usually is part of a broader financial audit to verify the reliability of the control structure for organizations that employ computer-based information system. Periodically, the auditor will evaluate selected component of the accounting information system to establish their degree of compliance with organizational objective and internal control standard. If I can give you another example, in the system, normally we need to have a tracking, or a specific name would be an audit trail. Okay? Any accounting system, if you have a database, okay, you can tracking those entry by sequence. Okay, take for example, if let's say you pick up an entry and you find an error in your entry, what you did, you delete the entry. But the system keep the record, the first entry that you record and you delete. So the new entry that you key in to correct the error just now will be traced as another entry. So means the first entry you record which is wrong will be denoted as one audit trail. The second one when you delete will be denoted as 2. The new one that you perform as a correction will be denoted as 3 in the audit trail. Which if you report, okay, you only see the last one. Okay, seolah-olah apa? 1 dan 2 tidak pernah berlaku. Betul tak? But in the system, that one will be recorded. So that's how the periodic accountant can have a verification on the database, how the process of the information being carried out, whether the principle is breached or not. Okay? So guys, we have done with definition, objective, and role of the accountant. For the last part, okay, we have a manual accounting record and computer-based accounting record. So the best example would be those that you have performed using the assignment chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5 and chapter 6 compared to those you learn in class. So in class you need to have a ledger, A4 paper. In computer based, do you need the paper? No. You only need hard disk, a system, or sometimes you may need a pen drive if you would like to save to other location. So how you view your record? Just click on the right icon, which the database store the item. So that's, I would say, the best way for you to differentiate between accounting record and the computer-based accounting report and record. So with that, I think we have enough on introducing ourselves of accounting information system. So after this, we're going to explore more on accounting information system from Excel perspective. Okay? So with that, I thank you, and hopefully if there are any question or queries for further explanation, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so thank you class.